This is Fred Barstein with 401k TV, and I am here with our new lecturer, Cameron Jones from NFP. Welcome, Cameron.
Thank you.
Okay, if we ask you a few questions.
Of course.
So Cameron is a senior investment advisor representative at the home office for the retirement division of NFP, and NFP is, according to a recent article in Investment News, the second largest retirement plan aggregator. So that's pretty good. And they also have insurance and benefits. NFP does that as well, along with the retirement. So Cameron, I wanted to, today the issue of fiduciary insurance came up.
Yep.
And I was surprised. A lot of people have it, right?
Yes.
But not all fiduciary insurance is the same, right? Created equally. So can you explain the different types of policies or the nuances of them?
Yeah, so at NFP, what we've discovered with having expertise on both the qualified plan consulting risk mitigation side of the house and on the insurance side of the house was that oftentimes within employers, the risk management team wasn't necessarily talking to the 401k committee.
Right.
So when they were out buying insurance to insure the risk of fiduciary liability, they didn't really know all the risk mitigation that was going into place. So we've really started reviewing a lot of these policies and found a lot of times when you just have risk management teams or just insurance specialists writing it, they might have either glaring donut holes in the coverage because they just don't know a lot about the 401k qualified plan space,
right? Or
it might actually be double coverage because there might be some sort of rider fiduciary liability baked into other policies like your EPLI or your D&O. Some examples of the donut holes which we find are common are, first of all, in the application process. So a lot of fiduciary liability policy applications ask you the question, has your plan ever been out of compliance? Well, the issue with that is if that's a very broad-based thing to prove. So if you say, no, we've never been out of compliance, and they find you were late on a contribution or some small thing happened, they can now potentially default on that entire policy. So be careful with the application, as well as it might have some basic things like it only covers employees. Well, as you know, a lot of committees out there might have board, non-employees on the committee, retirees, people on the board. So there's some things where, knowledge of the qualified plan space is somewhat required in order when you're looking at the right type of policy for your committee.
So there's best practices in getting it. Now it's a relatively new phenomenon. Now you got to be careful that you get it on it. So well, great. Well, that's great advice, and I think that we recommend that and it's relatively inexpensive, that most, if not all, should have some sort of fiduciary liabilities, especially to protect their members of their committee. Right. Final questions here. First, TPSU you ran. What did you think and of the program and everything?
I loved it. I've never seen an environment where there's more communication amongst the people actually in the room. I think a lot of these plan sponsors get the most out of talking to each other. Right. I think you addressed it in a presentation today that adults don't like to necessarily listen to experts sometimes. They like to learn from their peers. So right. It fosters an environment of really communication, sharing ideas, and by the end of it, when you're able to share that best practices, you get a lot of actionable steps that truly add value in these employers' lives.
Well, great. Well, thanks for participating and supporting, and TPSU, I know that NFP is a big supporter of it, and we appreciate it because we're bringing a lot of good education to thousands and thousands of plan sponsors. So good. Well, thank you for watching 401k TV, and stay tuned.